The Eiffel Tower glittered against the velvet night sky, but Elise Mason couldn't appreciate its beauty. Her hands trembled as she checked the address on her phone again, comparing it to the elegant facade of Le Grand Hotel Paris. This was definitely the place. The same luxury hotel that appeared on her husband Nathan's credit card statement, a statement he never meant for her to see. She adjusted her designer sunglasses, ridiculous at 9 p.m., but necessary to hide her red-rimmed eyes, and pulled her suitcase toward the entrance. The doorman smiled politely as she passed. He couldn't possibly know that her heart was shattering with each step, that her 15-year marriage was balancing on a knife's edge. The opulent lobby sparkled with crystal chandeliers and marble floors. Elise approached the reception desk with practiced composure, the kind that came from years of hosting corporate parties at Nathan's side. "Good evening, madame. How may I help you?" The receptionist offered a practiced smile. "I believe my husband checked in yesterday." "Nathan Mason?" Elise's voice remained steady despite the hurricane raging inside her. "I'd like to surprise him." The receptionist's fingers danced across the keyboard. "Ah, yes. Mr. Mason is in the Eiffel suite." She reached for a key card. "Would you like me to call up and—" "No." Elise smiled. That would ruin the surprise. 5 minutes later, she stood outside the suite, listening. Soft music played inside, accompanied by the clink of glasses and low laughter, a woman's laughter. Elise inserted the key card, took a deep breath, and pushed open the door. Nathan stood by the window in tailored slacks and an unbuttoned dress shirt, holding a glass of champagne. Across from him, lounging on the sofa in a silk robe, was Vivian Parker, his 30-year-old marketing director. Both froze when they saw Elise, their faces a portrait of shock that would be almost comical if it weren't so devastating. "Surprise," Elise said softly. "Don't let me interrupt your romantic getaway. 3 months earlier." "You've been working late a lot." Elise placed a plate of reheated dinner in front of Nathan, who had just walked through the door of their Connecticut home at 10:30 p.m. "The Morrison account is killing me." He loosened his tie, not meeting her eyes. "Their expectations are impossible." Elise sat across from him, nursing a glass of wine. "You said that last week. And the week before." Their spacious kitchen, with its marble countertops and high-end appliances, had once been the heart of their home. Now it felt like a stage where they performed the roles of husband and wife without the accompanying emotion. Nathan took a bite of food, chewing slowly. "The presentation is next week. After that, things will calm down. You said that last month." Elise took a sip of wine. "Remember our anniversary dinner that you had to cancel?" His shoulders tensed. "That's not fair, Elise. I'm trying to keep the agency afloat in a brutal economy. Someone has to pay for all this." He gestured vaguely at their surroundings. "Is that what I am to you now? An expense?" The words escaped before she could stop them. Nathan's expression softened. He reached across the table for her hand. "Of course not. You know how much I value everything you've sacrificed for us." Elise had once been a promising architect, but she'd put her career on hold to support Nathan's advertising agency in its early years. By the time the business had stabilized, they'd agreed to try for children. After 3 miscarriages and 2 failed rounds of IVF, that dream had withered. Somehow, returning to architecture afterward had seemed impossible. Instead, she'd channeled her creative energy into renovating their historic home and hosting events that helped Nathan network with clients. "I miss you," she admitted. "It feels like you're slipping away from me." "I'm right here." He squeezed her hand. "Just buried in work. The agency needs me, and I don't?" Nathan sighed, rubbing his temples. "Can we not do this tonight?" "I'm exhausted." "Fine." Elise stood, taking her wine with her. "I'm going to bed." Later that night, she woke to find his side of the bed still empty. She padded downstairs to find him asleep on the couch, his laptop open beside him. On the screen was an email from Vivian Parker with the subject line, "Dinner tomorrow?" Elise didn't open it. Not then. But the seed of suspicion had been planted. "She's half your age." "Nathan!" Elise chopped vegetables with unnecessary force. the knife hitting the cutting board with sharp, angry sounds. She's 32, I'm 45, hardly robbing the cradle. Nathan loosened his tie and poured himself a scotch. And she's brilliant. The Morrison account wouldn't have renewed without her pitch. I'm sure that's why you hired her. Her pitch? The sarcasm dripped from Elise's voice. What exactly are you implying? You brought her to our anniversary party. I brought the whole team. It was a corporate milestone too, remember? 10 years since we landed our first major client. Nathan downed his scotch. This jealousy isn't attractive, Elise. Neither is the way you look at her. Elise set down the knife. Or how you always sit next to her. Or how your late nights at the office mysteriously coincide with hers. Nathan placed his glass on the counter with deliberate control. You're imagining things. Vivian is a valued employee, nothing more. Then why is she texting you at midnight? His face hardened. Are you going through my phone now? I don't have to. Your notifications light up the bedroom when you think I'm asleep. They stared at each other across the kitchen island. The distance between them far greater than the physical space. I have an early meeting. Nathan turned away. I'll sleep in the guest room. The evidence accumulated slowly. Expenses at restaurants Elise had never visited. A receipt for women's perfume tucked in his jacket pocket that Nathan claimed was a gift for his mother. Late-night calls he took in his home office with the door closed. And most damning, a text message Elise glimpsed one morning. Can't wait for Paris, V. Elise waited until Nathan left for work before calling his mother. A perfume gift? No, dear. Nathan hasn't given me anything recently. The confusion in her mother-in-law's voice confirmed what Elise already knew. That afternoon, she called the agency's office. Mr. Mason won't be in next week, his assistant informed her cheerfully. He's attending the International Advertising Forum in Paris. Ms. Parker will be accompanying him to represent their Morrison campaign. Of course she will, Elise murmured. Hanging up. She sat in their empty house, surrounded by the life they'd built together, and made a decision. If Nathan wanted Paris, she'd give him Paris, just not the romantic getaway he was expecting. Elise. Nathan recovered first, hastily buttoning his shirt. How did you get here? She stepped fully into the suite, letting the door close behind her. The same way you did. First class, actually. Your assistant was very helpful in confirming your travel arrangements. Vivian had pulled the edges of her robe tighter, her face flushed with embarrassment or anger, perhaps both. Nathan, what's happening? What's happening, Elise said, setting down her handbag on a nearby table, is that I'm interrupting what appears to be a business trip. Isn't that right, Nathan? Nathan glanced between the two women, trapped. Elise, this isn't what it looks like. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Please don't insult my intelligence on top of everything else. Vivian stood abruptly. I should go. Stay, Elise said, her tone making it clear it wasn't a request. This concerns you too. Elise, please. Nathan stepped toward her. Let's talk privately. Like you've been so private with me? About Paris? About her? Elise's composure cracked slightly, her voice rising. How long, Nathan? How long have you been lying to my face? Vivian looked to Nathan, who had gone pale. Nathan, I think I should— 6 months, he admitted quietly. It's been 6 months. The confirmation hit Elise like a physical blow. 6 months. While she'd been renovating their home, hosting his clients, mourning another failed IVF attempt, he'd been building a separate life. 6 months, she repeated. So, when I had that procedure in January, Elise, when I was recovering and you said you had to work late, were you with her? Nathan's silence was answer enough. I never knew about any medical procedure, Vivian interjected, looking genuinely shocked. Nathan, you told me your marriage was essentially over, that you were staying together for appearances. Of course he did. Elise laughed bitterly. That's the oldest line in the book. Vivian, please, Nathan pleaded. Give us a minute. The younger woman gathered her clothes from the chair. I'll use the bathroom to change. When the bathroom door closed, Nathan approached Elise. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. Find out what? That you're having an affair or that you're a coward? Elise kept her voice low, conscious of Vivian on the other side of the bathroom door. That I'm not happy anymore. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. That we haven't been happy for years. Speak for yourself. Can you honestly say you're happy, Elise? With what we've become? She wanted to snap back, to deny it, but something in his question made her pause. When had they last laughed together? When had they last made love without it feeling like an obligation? When had they last talked about something other than work or house renovations or their failed attempts at starting a family? I'm not happy right now, she finally said. But that has everything to do with finding my husband in a Paris hotel room with another woman and nothing to do with our marriage before. Our marriage before this was a partnership running on fumes. Nathan's voice softened. We've been avoiding the truth for years. Ever since the last IVF failed? Don't you dare blame this on that? Elise's voice shook. Don't you dare make your affair about our losses. The bathroom door opened, and Vivian emerged, now dressed in a black sheath dress, her face a mask of controlled professionalism despite the awkwardness. I'll be downstairs in the lobby bar, she told Nathan, not looking at Elise. Take whatever time you need. After she left, a heavy silence fell between the married couple. You were planning to leave me, Elise said. It wasn't a question. I was planning to have a conversation with you when I got back from Paris. Nathan sank onto the edge of the bed. About separation. About wanting different things? Different things? Elise echoed. Like a younger woman who hasn't been through what I have? Who hasn't sacrificed her career for yours? Who still has time to give you children? Nathan flinched. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Her control finally broke. I gave you everything. My career, my body, my heart, everything. And this is how you repay me? By screwing your marketing director in Paris while I'm renovating our home? The home you're obsessed with. The home that became your substitute for everything else. Nathan stood, his own composure fracturing. You disappeared into renovations and charity functions after the last IVF, Elise. You shut me out. I was grieving. So was I. But you never asked. You never once asked how I felt about any of it. The accusation hung in the air between them. Elise felt as though the floor was tilting beneath her feet, her worldview shifting uncomfortably. I thought... Her voice faltered. I thought you wanted to be strong for me. I wanted to be your partner. Not your project manager. Nathan's anger deflated, leaving only exhaustion in its wake. We stopped being a couple and became co-executives of a failing enterprise called our marriage. Outside the window, the Eiffel Tower continued its hourly light show, sparkling against the night sky, indifferent to the human drama unfolding in its shadow. So that's it? Elise asked quietly. 15 years and you're just done? Nathan looked at her with genuine sadness. I think we've both been done for a while. We just didn't know how to admit it. Elise sat alone at a corner table in the hotel's rooftop bar, watching the city of light sparkle below her. She'd left the suite after Nathan's revelation, needing space to process. A glass of untouched Bordeaux sat before her. Is this seat taken? Elise looked up to find Vivian standing there, holding her own glass of wine. The audacity was almost admirable. By all means, Elise gestured to the empty chair. Though I'm surprised you'd want to join me. Vivian sat with practiced grace. I think we should talk, woman to woman. Is that what we are? Women who need to talk about the man we're sharing? Elise took a sip of her wine. How very progressive of you. I didn't know about your IVF treatments. Vivian spoke quietly. Or that you'd put your career on hold for his. He made it sound like you were both going through the motions of a dead marriage. The classic mistress defense. I didn't know. Elise smiled without warmth. Did you ever think to ask? Would you have in my position? Vivian challenged. If a man you respected professionally told you his marriage was over in all but paperwork, would you have called his wife to verify? The question hit uncomfortably close to home. No, Elise probably wouldn't have. How did it start? She found herself asking. Vivian considered her wine. Late nights at the office. Brainstorming sessions. He noticed ideas I was too afraid to present in meetings. He made me feel— She hesitated. Seen. Elise finished for her. He made you feel seen. Vivian nodded. He did that for you once too, didn't he? Memories flooded back. Nathan encouraging her architectural designs, believing in her vision when professors and peers dismissed it. The way he'd looked at her across crowded rooms as if she were the only person there. Once, Elise agreed. A lifetime ago, it seems. I'm not in love with him, Vivian admitted suddenly. I admire him, I'm attracted to him, but this— She gestured vaguely. It was never supposed to be serious. Just an affair with an expiration date. And yet here you are in Paris. A professional opportunity I couldn't pass up. Vivian met her gaze steadily. The affair was a bonus, not the reason. How convenient for your conscience. We're all good at justifying our choices, aren't we? Vivian's tone was pointed. You justify staying in a marriage that hasn't made either of you happy for years. I justify sleeping with a married man by telling myself his marriage is already over. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know Nathan cries sometimes, when he thinks no one is looking. Vivian's revelation landed like a slap. I know he keeps a photo of you both from years ago in his wallet, not a recent one. I know he refused to discuss any future with me beyond this trip. Elise stared at her, searching for deceit, but finding only uncomfortable honesty. Why are you telling me this? Because someone should. Vivian finished her wine. Nathan won't. He thinks protecting people's feelings is the same as respecting them. It's not. Before Elise could respond, she spotted Nathan entering the bar, scanning the crowd. His eyes found them, and his face registered alarm at seeing the two women together. Ladies, he approached cautiously. I see you found each other. We were just having a fascinating discussion about honesty. Elise raised her glass in mock toast. Vivian, could you give us a moment? Nathan asked. Actually, Elise interjected, I think Vivian should stay. After all, she's a key stakeholder in this situation, isn't she? Isn't that what you call important clients in your business jargon? Nathan tensed. This isn't productive, Elise. What would be productive, Nathan? Pretending this isn't happening? Compartmentalizing like you always do? Anger flared again. That's your specialty, isn't it? Keeping everything in its proper box so nothing ever has to touch or overlap or get messy. That's not fair. What part of this feels fair to you? She gestured between the three of them. The part where you lied to me for months? The part where you brought her to Paris on our anniversary week? Or the part where you've apparently been telling her our marriage was over without having the courtesy to tell me the same thing? Nathan looked stricken. It's our anniversary week? The fact that he'd forgotten hit harder than any other revelation. 15 years of marriage, and he couldn't remember the date. May 17th, Elise said quietly. Saturday. The day we're scheduled to fly home. Vivian stood abruptly. I should go. Vivian, Nathan began. No. She gathered her purse. You both need to talk, and I need to not be here for it. She looked at Elise. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Not for being with him, but for how it happened. After she left, Nathan sat heavily in the chair she'd vacated. She's direct, Elise observed. I can see why you're attracted to her. Elise, no, I mean it. She has a clarity I used to have. Before I started twisting myself into shapes that might fit your life better. Nathan looked genuinely confused. I never asked you to do that. You didn't have to ask. Elise leaned forward. That's what you don't understand. I did it willingly because I loved you. I put my career on hold because your agency needed support in those early years. I became the perfect corporate wife because that's what your clients expected. I renovated our house into a showcase because it reflected your success. And you resented me for it. No, she said, surprising herself with the realization. I resented myself for losing track of who I was apart from being your wife. Nathan was silent for a long moment. When did we stop talking like this? Really talking? Probably around the time we started trying to have a baby. Elise traced the rim of her wine glass. When sex became scheduled and purposeful instead of passionate. When every month became about cycles and tests instead of just being us. I wanted to adopt, he reminded her, after the third miscarriage. And I couldn't bear the thought of giving up on having our biological child. The admission cost her. I was so focused on what I thought our family should look like that I couldn't see what it was doing to us. We both made choices, Nathan said quietly. Some better than others, Elise laughed hollowly. Like your choice to sleep with Vivian instead of talking to me. I'm not proud of that. Yet you did it anyway. Yes. He met her gaze directly. Because it was easier than facing what was happening to us, than admitting we might have failed at the one thing we both valued most. Our marriage, our partnership, he corrected gently. The way we used to tackle everything together. Remember when the agency almost went bankrupt that second year? How we stayed up all night strategizing, drinking terrible coffee, figuring it out together? Despite everything, Elise smiled at the memory. We made that ridiculous vision board at 3 a.m., and it worked. Nathan smiled too before his expression sobered. Somewhere along the way, we stopped being a team. We became two people living parallel lives under the same roof. The truth of it settled between them, undeniable. So what happens now? Elise asked. Nathan exhaled slowly. I think we need to be honest about what we both want. Really want, not what we think we should want. And if what we want is different things, then we face that reality. His hand moved across the table, not quite touching hers. But we do it with the respect 15 years deserves. Not with secrets and affairs and ambushes in Paris hotel rooms. Despite herself, Elise laughed. You have to admit, the look on your face when I walked in was priceless. After a moment, Nathan chuckled too. I probably deserved that. You definitely deserved that. Their laughter faded, leaving a strange, tentative space, not quite reconciliation, not quite dissolution, but something honest for the first time in years. I'd like to go for a walk, Elise said suddenly. Alone? To think, Nathan nodded. Take all the time you need. I'll be in the room. Alone, he added. What about Vivian? She's booked herself another room. He hesitated. Whatever happens with us, that situation is over. It should never have started. Elise stood, gathering her coat. Don't make promises you can't keep, Nathan. I'm not. That's the point. His expression was solemn. No more false promises, just hard truths and whatever comes after. Dawn broke over Paris as Elise walked along the Seine. She'd spent the night in a small hotel near Notre Dame, needing space from both Nathan and the luxury suite that had become the epicenter of their marital earthquake. Now, watching the early light gild the ancient cathedral's reconstruction, she felt a strange parallel to her own life, damaged, undergoing painful renovation, but perhaps not beyond saving. Her phone vibrated with a message from Nathan. Coffee? Café de Floret Navi? She'd expected to feel anger seeing his name on her screen, but instead found only exhaustion and a peculiar clarity. See you there, she replied. The historic café was beginning to fill with tourists and locals when Elise arrived. Nathan sat at an outdoor table, 2 cups of coffee waiting. He stood when he saw her, an old-fashioned courtesy he'd always maintained. You look like you didn't sleep either, she observed, sitting across from him. I had a lot to think about. He pushed a cup toward her. Still take it with 1 sugar? The fact that he remembered such a small detail made her throat tighten unexpectedly. Yes, thank you. They sipped in silence for a moment, watching Parisians hurry past on their way to work. I spoke with my mother this morning, Nathan said finally. Told her everything, Elise raised an eyebrow. That must have been fun. She called me an idiot. His mouth quirked. Among other things. She also said I should beg your forgiveness on my knees if necessary. Smart woman. Always liked her. She likes you too. Said you deserved better. He met her eyes. She's right. Elise set down her cup carefully. What are you saying, Nathan? I'm saying I've spent the night thinking about what I want. His voice was steady. And what I want is a chance to be better. Not just for you, but for myself. With or without me? Ideally with you, he admitted. But I know that's not entirely up to me anymore. Elise considered him thoughtfully. And Vivian? She's flying back today, alone. Nathan leaned forward. She's talented and deserves her career. But whatever was happening between us is over. Completely. Just like that? No, not just like that. It ended the moment I saw your face in that doorway. Nathan's expression was pained. I saw what I'd done to you, what I'd become, and He struggled for words. I didn't recognize myself. Elise wanted to believe him. Part of her did. But another part remained cautious, wounded. I've been thinking too, she said, about what I want. And I want my life back. She met his gaze directly. Not our life as it was. That wasn't working. I want my life, my career, my identity outside of being your wife, my voice in our relationship. If we still have one, what would that look like? Nathan asked, and she was surprised by his genuine curiosity rather than defensiveness. It would look like me reopening my architecture portfolio. Maybe taking on small projects at first. The idea gained momentum as she spoke. It would look like us dividing household responsibilities equally. It would look like couples therapy, lots of it. And us? Nathan asked quietly. Would it look like us still being together? Elise took a deep breath. I don't know yet. Part of me thinks we should separate for a while, give each other space to remember who we are as individuals. Another part thinks that's just delaying the inevitable, either reconciliation or divorce. What does your heart say? The question was so direct, so unlike the careful, measured way they'd communicated for years, that it caught her off guard. My heart is currently torn between wanting to throw this coffee in your face and wanting to remember why I fell in love with you in the first place. Nathan actually smiled. That seems fair, does it? She found herself smiling too, despite everything. Seems pretty confusing to me. Life is confusing. That's the one thing I'm certain of after all this. He hesitated, then reached across the table to touch her hand. I'd like to try, Elise. Not to save what we had, but to build something new. Something honest. She didn't pull away. Even if that means I might decide, after trying, that I want to leave. Even then, his thumb brushed over her knuckles. Because either way, we'd be making the decision together, eyes open. No secrets, no parallel lives. A server approached with fresh coffee and they fell silent until he departed. I have a proposition, Elise said finally. Since we're already in Paris, yes? Let's stay. Not in that hotel, somewhere new. Let's take the next few days to talk. Really talk. About everything we've been avoiding. No guarantees about the outcome, but at least we'd give 15 years the respect of a proper conversation. Hope flickered across Nathan's face. You're willing to do that? After what I did? I'm willing to have honest conversations. She kept her voice firm. That doesn't mean forgiveness. It doesn't mean reconciliation. It just means I think we owe each other the truth, however painful. The truth, he repeated, nodding. I can do that. It might not save us. I know. His expression was solemn, but at least it would be real. Elise finished her coffee and stood, gathering her coat. Meet me at Shakespeare & Company in 2 hours. I need to check out of my hotel and clear my head. I'll be there. Nathan remained seated, looking up at her. Elise, thank you for being braver than I was, she paused, studying the man she'd shared her life with for 15 years. The man who'd hurt her deeply but was still, somehow, the person who knew her best. That's the thing about crashing someone's affair in Paris, she said with a hint of dark humor. It forces everyone's cards onto the table. As she walked away, the weight on her shoulders felt different, not gone, but transformed. From the crushing burden of suspicion and betrayal to the more manageable gravity of difficult choices ahead. Whatever happened next, it would be a path she chose with open eyes, not one she stumbled along blindly. Behind her, Nathan watched her go, his expression a complex mixture of regret and hope. The Paris morning continued around them, couples strolling hand in hand, tourists capturing memories, locals rushing to work, each carrying their own invisible stories of love and loss. Elise paused at the corner, glancing back once. Their eyes met across the distance, and for a brief moment, she could see the young man she'd fallen in love with. Vulnerable, honest, fully present. Whether that man could coexist with the one who'd betrayed her remained to be seen. But for the first time in years, possibility stretched before them, painful and uncertain, but real. She turned the corner and disappeared into the flow of the city, leaving Nathan alone with his coffee and the chance she'd given him, not for forgiveness, but for truth. It would have to be enough for now. The rest would unfold as it should, in its own time, in the City of Light.